What is up, everybody? Vince here for BitMega TV, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the Samsung Unpacked event that happened a week ago. Of course, that was for the reveal of the Galaxy S9 and S9 Plus. Now, there's a lot to cover with these new devices, so let's just jump right into it. So, to everyone's surprise, earlier this year, Samsung announced that they would be having their annual Unpacked event the day before Mobile World Congress. You know, talk about stealing the show before it even has a chance to get started. You may or may not know that MWC is an annual conference that usually takes place in Barcelona, Spain. It's primarily dedicated to mobile technology, networks, that kind of thing. I think that over the next few years, with a lack of announcements from the big three at MWC, we're probably going to start seeing more announcements from some popular Chinese companies like Huawei, Xiaomi, Vivo, and we've even seen something this year from Nokia, which is actually pretty exciting. I'm gonna try and probably make some videos about other devices that I thought were pretty exciting to see at the show later on. So keep an eye out for that stuff. So getting into the actual event, Samsung decided to go with the theme of can versus can't, doing the things you thought you couldn't do before. They introduced a lot of features that we've already come to expect in a modern day flagship, like health monitoring, connecting to IoT devices in your house, high quality image and video content for social media, a whole host of things that we're used to seeing already. Of course, Samsung understands the importance of having a high quality camera, and they made sure to spend enough time focusing on the S9 and S9 Plus's new photo and video capabilities. So starting with the cameras, the S9 devices are said to have a sensor that is a marked improvement over the one that you're going to find on the S8 models. Now, the thing that's been generating a lot of buzz after the event was the new 12 megapixel sensor that comes with a variable aperture, which is apparently a world first for smartphones. So for those of you guys who don't know, or you're not photographers, the aperture setting on a camera allows you to adjust the iris, very similar to a pupil in your eye, to either close it or open it wider to allow you to let more light in. So this, in theory, should help with producing better results for low light photos. So you can get more light into the lens and get a lot more clarity in those pictures. The sensor in the camera has a dual aperture setup that allows you to adjust the camera between an f2.4 and f1.5 aperture setting, the latter being the widest aperture ever on a smartphone. So the camera should allow you to either select the aperture settings yourself, or it should intelligently select the aperture settings based on the conditions that you're currently shooting in, whether that be daytime or nighttime. The camera is also sporting optical image stabilization, so that should further help with those low light shots. Another feature that they showed off was the improved slow-mo shooting mode, which should allow you to shoot 720p video at 960 frames per second. Now, although that number sounds very impressive, it's hard to tell if anybody really still shoots in 720p these days. I don't think a lot of people are going to get a lot of use out of that feature, but I guess we'll have to wait and see what kind of content people produce with it. Fortunately for people who do use slow-mo video recording features, the 240 frame per second mode will be bumped up to 1080p, which is great for anybody who needs slow-mo, but wants that higher resolution, that little bit extra clarity in their shots. Lastly, for the cameras, the front-facing camera is an 8 megapixel sensor with an f1.7 aperture. Now, this front-facing camera is going to be using Samsung's facial recognition software and the iris scanner to help you unlock your device. And this is supposed to add a bit of extra security for people's phones. Now, this face unlock feature is not going to be as good or as complex as the one you might see on the iPhone X. It's just using a regular camera, and Samsung has said that this should not be easy to fool, given that it's using the iris scanner as well. But we'll have to wait and see once we see the device and have it in our hands. So in terms of security, Samsung has listened to at least some of the criticisms that most people had with the placement of the fingerprint sensor on the S8 models. they went ahead and moved the sensor to a more standard position just below the camera sensor on the center of the rear of the device. This should make it much easier for people with smaller hands to reach the sensor when they want to unlock their device. Now, as far as gimmicks are concerned, Samsung oddly showed off something that looked very similar to Animoji's. And everybody knows Animoji was a feature released by Apple on the iPhone X. It uses their depth sensing camera to animate a weird animal or a poop emoji with your face. And it's kind of funny and unique, I guess, in terms of like what you can do on a phone, but the technology's been around for a really long time now, and companies do this with video games and with all kinds of other things. There are even apps that have been out on the App Store that have done this for a long time, and you've never needed a special camera for it. So it's kind of odd that Samsung would have this we can do it too without a fancy camera moment and act like it's something really huge. I would have thought they would save that for, I don't know, like a commercial or something later on down the line, rather than showcase that as an actual feature on their device. It's just kind of weird. So along with the gimmicks, Bixby is still there, and unfortunately for everybody, it probably is going to be in Samsung devices for the foreseeable future. Samsung has allowed people to turn the feature off, so there's that. All right, so cameras aside, the overall design of the device is a fairly safe one, with it being pretty much the same as the Galaxy S8. The QHD Super AMOLED display is still crazy sharp. It's amazing to look at. You're still going to get those same beautiful curves on the edges of the Infinity display as well. The device is also going to have stereo speakers. Awesome if you watch content, play games. There are going to be two different battery sizes, obviously. So the S9 is going to have a 3000 milliamp hour battery. The S9 Plus will have a 3500 milliamp hour battery. And both devices are going to be using the Snapdragon 845 octa-core processor. That's going to be running at 2.8 gigahertz. And finally, both devices will be sporting fast charging along with wireless fast charging. So my initial thoughts on the device. I think it's a pretty safe move for Samsung in terms of overall performance and design. It's very apparent that they know they struck a chord with the S7 and S8 design language, and I'm pretty sure they want to milk that cow as much as possible before they go with a drastic, design change, a new look, new materials. They want to get as much money out of this design as they can. But don't get me wrong, safe doesn't necessarily mean boring or ugly. These devices are absolutely stunning. They're still definitely high-end, beautiful looking devices. The materials are amazing. The color choices are absolutely stunning. And I think these devices will obviously be able to hold their own against any other flagship on the market right now. So now the question you have to ask yourself is, should you upgrade to the Galaxy S9 from the device you have currently? And I guess what it comes down to is what device you're coming from. If you already have a Galaxy S8 or an S8 Plus, then you're probably not missing out on anything substantial here. But if you're coming from a Galaxy S7, anything earlier than that, or even an older iPhone, for example, then yes, most definitely take the upgrade. You will not regret it. There are tons of great features to love about this device. And with that, I'm gonna end this video. Thanks guys for watching. If you liked the video, give me a thumbs up. Maybe think about subscribing. In the near future, I'm gonna be ramping up my posts, so there will be more consistent content coming down the road. Thanks again, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.